All right, good morning. Welcome to this morning session of Coffee and Stocks at My Wallet. Saturday, December 13th. Currently 7:16 a.m. Central Time. We're a little bit late getting the stream started for YouTube and Twitch. We are also now on X in a space. If you want to just vocally hop on. Right now, we're going to do, for today's session, we're going to do a recap on the stock market. We'll look at the QQQ, the SPY, the IWM, and the Dow. We'll go over the cryptos, of course. We'll look at any economic news and calendar reviews like earnings, things of that nature, economic events that had effects. From there, we'll go into our to review trades, target trades for the upcoming week. And then a recap on some of the additional tools and resources we have for your disposal. And then the weekly watch list and events to watch going into the next week. Ultimately, as we get started, as always, to show your support, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to do what we're trying to do here. Ultimately, what we're trying to do at My is build a community for investors and traders alike to have a forum to communicate, collaborate, share due diligence, information on trades, reasons why, where to get into trades, things of that nature. And then also not only just that, but to analyze that data together, right? If you store that data in one centralized location, it's easier to analyze. So if you're collecting data, I'm collecting data, we can do that together. You can always register a free account to access some of our free and premium services. Premium services are not required to operate and still functionally benefit from the actual application itself, so no worries there. You can go to mymywallet.com to register a free account today. If you use referral code TBI-02, that will give you a set of premium features for free for a month to test them out. That way you're not just buying something you don't know what it'll do for you. And then that way you can also customize your membership. So we do have memberships at My Wallet. You can get some of our pre-packaged bundles that are fit for certain scenarios, or you can customize your membership and pick certain things that you're looking for that will ultimately help you grow in your finances. And then just go from there with, crypto integration. How do we integrate all our wallets into one place? How do we manage those wallets? How do we view all our trades and analyze all of them if we have multiple brokerage accounts all in one place, right? That's the ultimate goal of what we hope to solve with the application and its purpose. Since its conception, we've been focused on essentially building a My Wallet army of investors, right? Smart investors, sound financially, right? Healthy. Doesn't have to be wealthy. We're not looking for everybody to get rich off of our system or anything like that. But what we are looking for is to help people become better investors and leverage the stock market, cryptos, even crypto assets, even projects outside of that, private equity, to ultimately help their financials benefit over whatever projected timeline they have for set goals they're going after, things of that nature. We have systems in place where we can show you how to supplement your income, cover your expenses, and then allow your income to be stored in places like 401ks, IRAs, whole life cash policies, right? HSAs, even things that are pre-tax. That way you can keep more of your money, control more of where your money goes, and then also benefit from where you are putting that to ultimately make sure you get the most exposure and manage the right risk in doing so. So you can join us on Discord to join the voice chat. I'll put that in the chat now. You can always join us on either YouTube or Twitch now. We do have that set up. We will feed some of the highlights from this video into our TikTok. So if you missed this morning's session, you can still scroll through our profile there. We'll do some shorts on YouTube as well. I'll put a link to the Discord if you want to join the voice chat in real time. That's real easy. Just hop in there, and that gives me a little bit of control of who I bring in and who, bring to the front. But we can sit there and actually review some of the stocks you're in, some of the stocks you're wanting to get in, some of the stocks you may have questions about. Crypto is the same, right? If there's any projects on MyMI that you're ever interested in, then we can also look at those at the same time. So again, if you haven't already, feel free to join the Discord. I'm going to put that in the chat, but also go to our website at mymiwallet.com and register your account today to get started and access our free tools. This system is built for you to be able to operate on your own. It's not something to control your accounts. It's only here to analyze and give you suggestions. You can take those suggestions and marry it up to any strategy you have. It's willing and prepared to accept those strategies to then give you the best decisions and information to include in your current strategy or whatever you're going after. Join our Discord, voice chat. Alright, there we go. So that should be sitting in the chat. We also have X up now. This is something new. I'm doing an X Spaces on Discord. On Twitter, now X, where basically you can catch up with me before I even get started on this. As I'm starting my day, we can just chit chat as the morning starts and we're sipping on our first cups of coffee, and you can kind of get that, behind the scenes view of what we got going on. We can talk about things that might not come up on the actual episode for the day. So let's see, remind me later. Okay. Alright, to start, currently got the chart up for the SPY. As you can see, she is currently having resistance issues around the 689.70. She cannot break above and hold. She consolidated hard there in the open of yesterday's session, falling down and ultimately landing on the 679s again, but holding the 680 and resting at 681.84, I believe is one. Yes, 84 there in the close of yesterday's after hour session. What I'm kind of looking at right here is potential consolidation and retest this lower trend support. I know if you're on X, you can't see what I'm looking at, but you can also pull up our live stream to view it. And so when she does that, I'm interested to see if we will see her falter back to these lows here, right? And that's pretty deep. That's 649, 650 levels, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna keep an eye on that level. Right there at the 651.39. The last time we peaked this low. She does have some mid levels to get through first, so you can see she had some support there. It looks like she ride all the way back here, actually, somewhere in here. Yep. And let me turn the screen. Lower level support. We did have resistance right here at one point that we have since broke through. We have a little bit more touches right there. I'll stick with that one. Turn that yellow as well. Trading above that right now. We have, I'm trying to check the gaps too to make sure we've backfilled all gaps. Maybe a little one right here to cover. But we have some support levels to watch right in here. Yep, I see it. So again, some consolidation points that I want to see her break through to confirm this theory that we are going to break that lower trend support. As you can see, we haven't hit any of those consolidation points in this lower term trend range, so I'm still looking for where she may fall. She looks like she's resting right there underneath, or at least trying to, right there. So initially support in that gap up. I don't like gaps, that's for sure. Let me see. I have some support right there. I want to make this, what color can we make this? We'll make it orange. Price is still below it, technically, so When you look at it from that perspective, you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to go through into this upcoming week. I'm seeing support on these levels way back here. Yep. So adjusted that lower line back to 651.36 right now. When you take that simple, trend analysis, you look at it from this perspective too. How are we supporting off of this still, which was a very strong trend level. You can see we're kind of channeling off of that, right? And we're in that channel again. And it's potentially a channel set up to push out of here now. It aligns very well. I like it. Where we retest the 690s, push the 700. There's a lot of expectations that things like the market and the market would probably push to 7,000. Crypto would push to 200,000 K. We are not seeing those levels right now. I think the last I saw Bitcoin was at 91,000, probably 91,000. Anyways, back to the SPY though. Interested to see if she trades within this channel and then cranks out, right? That would be really, really bullish. Going into 2026. I think that's what everybody's hoping for. Let's see, something like, I don't know, just a bar pattern. No, that's not what I was looking for. But anyways, what I'm looking at is something like that. Out. So get off of there. But delete that. When you do that simple trend analysis, you find all these support levels we can watch, key levels basically. I turn on my formula and I marry that. Now you can see that the resistance is right above that level, right within this channel. Support right in this channel that I was looking at, right? Strong support. We have not destroyed it yet. But if we do, that would be a breakdown here back to these support levels. We have a strong support right here that I'm seeing now standing out to me. I want to track to see if we hold there. I see another one that it's identifying now in this area. Let's see if I can get that in there. Yep, right there. So in between the 667, 672, which is honestly where I've been buying a lot of my longs on a reset of the market. So you kind of see how this aligns with the way that I do my trend analysis anyway. So that was my point. I know that my indicators look like a lot. I know you can't read them, but I can. It's very simple. We're just showing pivots right here on the reds. The orange are caution pivots, and then the X's are death crosses, with the underside of that being green pivots, cautious pivots. EMA conversions right there on that yellow. We got EMA bands in green and red, and then we have a 70 and a VWAP, which is that white line you see going across the stock itself. And we use all that to kind of tell the story. The strong level of support on 679.74 is what we're looking for the markets to hold going into next week. And see how that reacts on Sunday. And go from there. I'm not going to speculate too much on whether or not I think it's really coming down. I think we're going to see some sideways consolidation for the first few days. When you look at the Q, though, it kind of tells a similar story, but more one that we have some consolidation due to that tech sector, probably back down to the 604s. We can start over with the trend analysis. I don't mind. Get rid of that. Get rid of the chart. Indicators. Spread it out a little bit. You can see that same lower trend support right there. And I'm on a corrector. Just a little off right now. Yep. Once I line this up, she should align. Yeah, we broke that that mid level actually support trend. If I pull this down, pretty sure that aligns somewhere in here. I have more touches up here, so I see it. Yep. So we're below both of those, which means that where I was just at, you'll probably see an additional push down into this channel. We cannot break that third level though. That's a key support level that it needs to hold within this, I guess, tri-band, channel to the upside there. Consolidation looks something like this. This degree on those highs. Yep. Oh, my mouse sensitivity needs to improve. There we go. That'll be my high line. Resistance. I do see a specific level that is calling my name, standing out to me. That's right here. She looks to be trying to get some support around the 612.93. She did close right below it. Somewhat of something to be concerned of. What we didn't see this week, just to include some of the financial economic data, is the Fed did not cut an entire 0.5 basis points on rate cuts. I think the market had priced in 5 by the time we got to the announcement. And so when that announcement was made, it was somewhat of a stagnant market. You did see some reaction. I think the SPY did end up running a little bit. It had this big red bar, this big belly bar right here. To 6. This is the Q, by the way, that we're looking at, to the 628s. Peaked out at 630 in the aftermarkets, but consolidated since. Didn't really outperform its highs there, so didn't go retest the highs, excuse me, at 638.41 currently, but from a support level, I would watch for these areas. So what I like about these areas is a resistance to support reversal. Let me do this, change some colors up so we can see better. There we go. From there we have another one right around here to watch, and then lower level being somewhere in there. Yeah. Right on that. Somewhere in here. There it is. Alright. So watch the Q try to stay above 612.93 going into Sunday. I'm looking for some consolidation, potentially back to the 602. It's only 1.5% drop, potentially. Not too terrible. You could reset on the stocks that you've been waiting to get in tech. If she does come back to the 593, even better. If she starts going toward that 580 to retest that support, we might triple bottom there. Looks sort of like an inverted head and shoulders with an angle to it to the upside. So could see some churn down, but again, could bounce right back off of that 612.93 and push on. To look at the IWM real quick, to look at those small caps and to understand how they're performing compared. I already started some of the trend analysis on it the other day. I'm actually going to turn that color, and this right here can be a mid-level support trend, which you can see we've broken. But if you take that here, that's kind of what channel we're in, right? IWM also broke out in the next session after the announcement for Jay Powell. Well, that's actually Wednesday. It jumped up to 256, excuse me, consolidated, bounced up, But what I want to pay attention to is how far it came back down compared to the rest of the stocks. I did see a note about potential for small caps to start outperforming. Um, this dropped 2.5%, about $7. If I go look at the Q, and it's dropped since the Fed rate announcement, you can see it was a lot worse, right? It actually jumps, but it ended up dipping 2.9%. So extra 0.3 points there. But back to the IWM, yeah, use this as your gauge to understand when to get in and out of your small caps that you are seeing a lot of movement in. Of course, you know, we like to watch liquidity and understand where the money's going. Looks like we have a support there. I'm interested to see. And another one here. Just give you some context. Alright. Then we got some support over here. Of course, would be yellow. And another support level to watch here. And then lower level, of course, would be that low. Right there. Okay. High level resistance. You're going to have some run-ins right here at the 256.56. So I'm going to watch out for orange. And then another up here at that peak. I'm going to get out of this. Turn that red. Then what I'll do is I'll turn my indicator on and let you see how that aligns. Yep. So currently dealing with that 256.60 resistance up there. Got some lower level support right below the 251.50s, right around there, or 20s, excuse me. Good established support. What I want to see is that resistance, right? Resistance. Boop. And then break out support off of that resistance. If she does not, then she's coming back down to the 246s to follow the other markets. To look at Bitcoin now, to move over into our crypto overview segment. We're just coming up on 6:38, so I don't want to spend too much time on one thing. Oh, sorry, wrong ticker. Oh, Bitcoin. Currently sitting at 90,250 flat as we speak. I say flat, could be some incremental number. Trading below the VWAP. VWAP crank down below the 70. I don't like seeing that. Price action might try to move back up to this VWAP. Let me remove this. We don't need it anymore. And then let's remove all of our drawings. We're going to start from scratch together. Just make sure we're reviewing this appropriately. Certain level that I would like to see Bitcoin break above is right there. So this level right there. Right there. We'll just mark it on that one, right? It has not pushed, I mean, it's pushed above it. Yeah, I went to 94,000, but it hasn't held, right? And that's what you want to see, is that resistance to support reversal to confirmation. When you're looking at the indicator too, you're seeing those resistance levels right under those price points. So if you're shorter, you know, getting in here short at 93 and riding it back down to potentially, well, you can kind of see that curve. Let's see, something to this degree. That's what we're doing. So I would watch it off of that one there. We broke below that. That puts us coming back below 90,000, around 89.5 to support from here again. I do want to keep track of that level, which would probably, yep, come back here. We'll turn that yellow. And then below that, you can see some support off of this level here. Trying to see how far that goes back, but another level to watch. Interested in uh, probably re-entry right there around the 88,000 flat almost. But of course, you know, we do have this lower level over here to consider around the 83.8. We actually had Bitcoin dialed in to come back to 73,000 on a healthy consolidation before a continued push to those highs that everybody's looking for. It hit 80,000, I think, at its low there, as you can see, 80,005. So we're just 7K above that number. I do think the markets move uh, a little bit sooner. So what I'm expecting to see, let me remove the indicator now, is that compression. You see how we have this even level right here that we're resisting against, and we're having those lower highs or higher lows, excuse me. I think she's gonna break that level, retest 90,000, and consolidate potentially back to the 88 131s or the 88 32 there we're looking at, before she bounces off. That might be an over exaggerated sell and then a push out to retest and then a crank. But with this compression zone, it needs to complete that compression first, and it could break out to 88 or break down to 88 before it breaks out. So something to watch if you pay attention to some of these higher levels as we move higher. Though, if it were to just crank out of here, which we are talking about Bitcoin, and people eager for it to do so, don't blame them. Not acting as they're someone different from me. I wouldn't mind seeing crypto take off. Is that level right there? And I see it. It's right in here. Yep. So you can kind of see how we're establishing and building these channels that we're trading within. We can track these channels now, so when we get up here, we know where our next resistance level is to pay attention to. Another one I can see standing out to me, right in here somewhere, right there. Yep, that level, which is right under the 109.5. Again, if we were to pull out the indicator, you'll see some of those resistance levels align perfectly. All right, so it's Bitcoin. Look for some consolidation back to the 80s. I'm in crypto right now. I want crypto to run. I'm not trying to be bearish about it, but as you can see, she's currently breaking down here already, breaking the VWAP. I'm looking to see consolidation right there to the 89. See where Ethereum is real quick. We're at 745, and then I'll scoot over to some of the stocks that we watched this week. Ethereum currently breaking that VWAP also. What Ethereum needs to do is, as a secondary indicator to crypto, is hold that level, which goes back to here. That level was key, sitting right above it, I think, right now. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Ethereum USD, same level still appears. Okay, no worries. Right in here somewhere. Check that chart off there. That one right here. And goes back here along with that. Yep. Right there. So that 3105 is key. You can see we just dipped below that a little bit. Let's get rid of these drawings. Confuse you. I don't want to confuse you. So that level there is key. What's next below that is question. Somewhere up in here. Yep, plug it. Yep. Something like that. See if I dip down here. There it is. Below that, 229.86 on Ethereum. We have this lower level support I want to track right there. And then at very bottom course, is our low, which is 26.20. You know, $500 down basically. From a higher level up above that, you know what to watch. We have that at 31.97 is above us. We should have supported off of that. As you can see, we have a big belly gap drop there that we need to fill. I would assume if we can support off of the 31.05, push that back up to here. Right there. Orange. And then a high level for now. Right there. We'll stick with that one. I know there's a high. Yeah, I'll go ahead and respect the high. Give it its rightful color. And this actually goes back to there. All the way back here. Yep. There we go. Alright. If you guys don't mind, I'm probably going to go refill my coffee cup real quick. If you have anything you want to review, please put it in the chat. Don't hesitate. Be scared, worried. This is an open platform for everybody to come in and do their thing. Alright, so that's what we're looking for is support. This will be a good second signal for crypto for you. If you have a lot of crypto assets, you can see now we are showing strong support off of that 29.86 level, which is what we basically supported right off the top of, trying to break those EMAs back to the upside. You can see this expansion here, VWAP under it all. I'm wondering if the VWAP in the 70 will come back to meet here, and that'll be our deciding factor. So I'll look for that going forward today. As you can see, we're currently working on retesting that 31.05.28 now as we speak, but bouncing off the VWAP and doing so. And so we hope we get that support off the 31.05 to keep this moving forward. Okay, now to look into some of this week's performing stocks and how they ended up. We have been capturing. I see we have some people joining the chat. Good morning, welcome. We've been capturing the weekly top performers so that we can review that today with you. So let me pull that watch list up and we can go through some of those stocks on the live stream. As always, feel free to join the Discord. I don't know if my chat went through earlier. Let me see. Feel free to join us on the Discord live chat. Really weird. Okay. Join us on Discord. Alright. So oh, it is showing up in the chat. Alright, cool, perfect. So one of the stocks we saw outperform are really winning this week was Beat. Actually, before I get into that, I'm going to go get some more coffee first, if you guys don't mind. I'll be right back. So yeah, let's get the chart switched over. Something we looked at going into the end of the week was BEAT, BEAT, ticker BEAT. Started out at 54 cents going into the week. Found some strong volume going into Monday's session. Let me see if I can pull up some news on that real quick and see what was going on. So on December 8th, they got a price target of 250 from H.C. Wainwright. Initiates HeartBeam at buy with 250. And then on the 10th at 6 a.m., the company announced they received FDA clearance for first ever cable-free synthesized 12-lead ECG for at-home arrhythmia assessment. FTC clearance granted after successful appeal overturning their prior not substantially equivalent outcome. HeartBeam's credit card-sized device delivers clinical-grade insights directly to patients anytime, anywhere. Pivotal milestone unlocks multiple key initiatives in company's growth strategy. So they got a 250 price target. They're currently sitting. They broke out immediately after Monday's announcement to the 77s or so. And then when they announced that, it seems like H.C. Wainwright kind of knew this was coming, and priced them here 2 days before they announced such an announcement that sent them straight to that price point, right? They ultimately supported off of the 130s and broke up to the 279s before consolidating since, but then they found support around the 208s or so, 212s actually, and took off from there again to retest that 279 high, since consolidated and currently showing the want and will to try at least 250 again before it fails, right? 260 levels. So it's definitely something to watch. Welcome. I see we have a few people in the chat. If you have any stocks you want to review, let us know. Okay. To go back to the watch list. As far as where I expect that to go, I think it's going to retest 260. It could consolidate and break this 214. If it does that, some levels to pay attention to. Rest right in there, as you can see. So what I'll do here is adjust this chart. Yeah. And the 50 actually falls right in there too, which is precisely right around 175 or so. I'll keep that level there, and then what I'll do is I'll turn it light blue. So that's my interest of entry there. Don't know why we have these here for any reason. Oh, I think I was looking for an entry and then a stop loss. So it did actually touch the entry. What I need to do is start putting that where I start analyzing and I can keep track of that better. We saw a lot of cannabis stocks move this week. So you have things like Tilray, Acan. You had things like YCBD or CBD MD Incorporated. Good morning. I see we have somebody else joining us in the chat. Welcome. Another one we saw move. We had Beat Up overall 5 days up 187%. We had YCBD up 87% over the past 5 days. We can look at that chart. I did analyze it for you guys in real time throughout the weekly coffee and stock session. As you can see, she broke out from 61 cents going into Thursday's aftermarket session, after hours, consolidated back to 70 cents, 78, 79 give or take, and then took off to essentially 149 or so in the pre-market before she consolidated again, supported and retested 149 there. 145 in the pre-market, 143, consolidated, retested 149, consolidated again, started supporting off the VWAP, saw a push back higher to the 145s, before consolidating. Now trading under VWAP going into the after hour session. If she does come down, I want to see her land. If she has continued movement somewhere around the 94 cents, that's right at 99. So the 50 currently sits at about $1.01. So either $1.01, $1.99, either or. 99 cents, either or is fine on YCBD. But below that, you do have 77 to pay attention to. So I'll mark that for you guys as well. There we go. And then I will make that one yellow for a lower level support. And then down at the bottom, of course, we have our long term, which is all the way at 61 cents. So be careful. This is the dollar stock, was 61 cents before all this movement. Volumes lowering as we're going into Friday end of market sessions. So just keep an eye on it. Another one we watched earlier in the week is PETS, PETS, PetMed Express. It was up over the past 5 days for 83%. You can see it basically bounced off that 158 low going into, what is that, Wednesday. She had an after hours crank up to 330 or so, consolidated, went back to recess at 330, ultimately got to about 345 or so before she saw some resistance, pushed back to the VWAP, where she's currently sitting at the VWAP at $3, consolidated back to the 50 and bounced off of that. So interested to see if she can retest that 330 and get through that, and then ultimately get up to that 405 again, continue push higher. You can see that higher level resistance up there, sitting above the 425, excuse me. So something to watch on it. Next is CTGL. It is up last 5 days 74%. Creative Global Technology. It went from 60 cents as well down here on the low, right there, 58.6 to 101 in Wednesday's after hour session. Pre-market open, closed down to the 50 at the 87 level, supported, broke above the 101, hitting 109, consolidated off the 50, tried to break out again, gap down in the in Thursday's pre-market, supported again off of the 90 cents, and it took off to 130. Has since consolidated down to that 106. Looks like she's trying to find that support she needed to on the 109. Currently closed at 113 going into the end of the after hour session on Friday. So what I'm looking for here is support, continued support on the 109 there. I do like the fact that she keeps bouncing off of her 50 here. Trying to see where that actually goes back to as far as price action before. It looks like it's right in here somewhere. That'll be fine. And then we of course have those lower level supports to keep track of and be mindful of on a move forward. That 56 level there, and then of course there at the bottom. So let me turn this 56 to a yellow just so it stands out a little bit better for us. There we go. After that we have DBI, ticker DBI. I didn't look at this one going into the week, so it's going to be fresh. It's currently up 70.93% for the last 5 days. As you can see, we have a low sitting there, just immediately looking at the chart, at the 329. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that for my lower trend support. Let's see. There we go. Just so you know, we are crossing that 8 o'clock hour. We'll probably go to about 8:15 this morning since we were a little late getting started. But yeah, back to this DBI. Took off from 326 going into the week, had earnings, and that's what really cranked her up on the 9th, Tuesday after hours. She took off, and then opened in the pre-market up as high as 647. Consolidated, found some support down here at 576 before cranking up to a high at that day, 729. Tapped the VWAP in the pre-market, cranked above that, supported off of 698 and took off to this 871 levels. Since then, has consolidated, finding support around the 784, retested 875. Again, has since consolidated and looks like she's trying to attempt additional support between 805 and 818 to keep pushing forward. Let's see what caused her to move. I also want to start including the news. So earnings on the 9th say that sales were down 3%, 3 to 5% fiscal year. Comparable sales were 2.4%. Expects fiscal year 25 adjusted operating profit of 50 million to 55 million. Designer Brands Q3 adjustment EPS was 38 cents, beats 18-cent estimates. So did, sales of 752 million, a miss though 763, so short a little bit there. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, the stock's just taking off. Telsey Advisory Group maintains market perform on Designer Brands, maintains $5 price target, well above that $5 price target right now. Designer Brands up 30% going into the 9th. Telsey moves up their price target to $7. UBS moved up to $7. Remain neutral on it though. Trading higher after multiple analyst firms raised their respective price targets on the stock. So they're putting a $7 price target on it. It's currently, sitting at $8.30. I could see it coming back to retest that $7 level actually before she continues. So watch out. Make sure she keeps support here at the 792. If she does continue to move higher, I'll turn that yellow. We also have additional support here. I like that. 694 there. Your 50 sits currently at the 644, 640 level, so be careful there. Yeah, looking healthy here. Other than that, we played Meta over the week, some Meta options. I don't think I did as well as I did on my Meta options as I did on my Tesla options in the later half of the week. What I did realize is that as I thought Meta was going to crank, Tesla was. And so that's why I converted at the end of the week from Meta calls and puts to Tesla calls and puts. Surprisingly enough, yesterday alone we were up 98% total account value on the option trades that we conducted. Meta has since consolidated. I can get rid of some of these drawings. We can start from scratch together, kind of identify those levels to pay attention to on Meta. I know a lot of people like Meta, have Meta long term. Where's some potential buy entries is probably the best you'll get out of this conversation with me. I'm not here to sway you out of it. I'm just letting you know what I'm watching. That level I've been paying attention to that is key is 640.26. And if anybody was trading Meta, we dropped down to 638s in the week. She seems to be having issues finding support above the 673. She did bounce to 686 in like some anomaly state on December 4th. That was not this past Thursday, the one before. Caught my attention. And that's what I was going into calls for. So I had calls right here. And ended up getting out. Saw her consolidating. Thought she was going to bounce right here out and retest the 86. And she did not do that. So we ended up taking a loss going into the second half of the week. Or midpoint of the week actually was when it was. And cut those losses. I think right there on that 650. There was a 654 retest or something like that. Here that we got out. Yeah. So we took I think it was like a $300 loss there. Ended up reverting over to Tesla, and I'll kind of start with Tesla from this point. After I mark this level, that's calling my name. If I could get this thing to work. Thank you. So that's higher level resistance we need to pay attention to. Resistance we need to pay attention to here. And more resistance. Of course, everything above the price I'll turn red at the top line. Mid levels I'll turn orange. Anything of support below price action I'll turn yellow, green. And then a significant levels to pay attention to I will turn blue, so they stand out a little bit better. One that really kicks out to me right now is down here on this lower level. We'll keep that one yellow for now, and then that lower, the lowest support level we have right here on this current chart is right here. I would actually live with this one, so turn that green. All right. Something else standing out to me was that right there. That's a high level of interest in my book. Turn that blue. The reason she supported off of that, resisted off of that multiple times before breaking out, kind of led to this breakout we're seeing. Another level to pay attention to, I always pay attention to these cranks down and kind of like the ticks right before them. So another level I'm interested in her staying above. As you can see, when you include the indicator in there, it kind of represents that same thing. What I'm watching, another level that's standing out now because of that, it's this right here more so. So these three levels, when I have multiple blues like that, I'm looking for a reversal, just so you know, in the future. And as far as meta goes, we technically, back here is our resistance we want to pay attention to. That's a very important level. I'll go ahead and respect the high in this chart and place one up here, right there. You notice when you have these cliffs, you can mark it off of this. So as long as we don't go off of this first tick up, I know we bounced up, I start looking for shorts here. All right, that's meta. Let's look at Tesla real quick. Coming up on 809, so just want to go over the quick plays we had with Tesla. We actually had calls going into Tesla after I got out of those metal calls. I actually bought it, as you can see right here. And then I think I stacked down here as well. Was a little concerned because we were trading in between my two entries, but ultimately, as you can see, we broke out. I actually sold here at this top line resistance, thinking we were going to stop, so I missed a few $100 there. But once we got back to it, I entered some shorts down. I got out at that support level, and then once we broke out, I loaded up, and I rode it to about 654. Got out a little early again, right before the 456, which is what I thought it was going to do on the first run. I could have re-entered and ran it up into the close. We did go from 450 to 462 again. It's a $12 jump on those options. I was up 98% on my entire account from those three trades alone for the entire week. We're doing pretty well. Let me check the statistics. As far as our option trading goes, we are currently doing exceptionally well. We are up as a group 26% for the past 3 months, 24, up 11% year to date. So we're currently outperforming the markets on average with our option trading. As far as percent gains overall for the past week, we are up 110%. For the past month, it's not even calculating the percentages. I think we have surpassed that. So, yep, that is what we have done. So yeah, doing pretty well. Looking for some consolidation to re-enter, right? We got the 70 sitting at that 50% retracement level right around the 52. I would love to see it back down there. Support off of 52 again and bounce back to 62. Another $10 jump. You know, $20 delta on that, and that's $20 per dollar down. Of course, that increases as you get closer to your targets. I'm not going to short her. I'm not fond of shorting her. Let me say that. I don't mind shorting her. As you can see, if you look on the longer time frame, we're coming up to that support level with this high level resistance right here playing a part in the way there. So let's move this back here. Actually, you can see we've respected that 456 for some time now. So yeah, doing pretty well. It's now 8:12 a.m. Central Time, December 12/13, 12/13. It's 12/13, 2025. Excuse me. Need more coffee. So to sum up this this week's trading session, like I said, some of the stocks we were looking at are some that we were going to pay attention to. We did see a lot of marijuana stocks move. Like I said, let's see. I had a list I wanted to bring up. Since we started a little bit late, I did not have a chance to actually prepare those. So something to watch going into next week would be TLRY, CGC, YCBD, but pay attention to that risk. SNDL, Sandal, some of those old COVID stocks. BEAT, FOLD, Rivian's on the list. Some other things to pay attention to. Let's see, we had CRON, IBRX is another one we looked at. VCBD, ZDGE is another we watched through the week. So those are just a few to watch. Put on your watch list, see how they do going into the open. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. Any stocks you want to review. We are now streaming on TikTok, YouTube, and we're doing our morning sessions on our Coffee and Stock space on X, formerly Twitter. We will also share highlight recaps of today's sessions as I break down some of these stocks on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. And then ultimately you can join our Discord. I put that link in the chat. I have seen a few members join on the Discord. I appreciate you guys for all the support. We've been getting a lot more viewers. This is finally starting to pick up. I think one day we had like 91 users on here, which I was really glad to see. You know, it's a lot of effort not going to waste. We're only here to help. We're only here to look at the things that matter to you too, not just the stuff that we're talking about. So if you want to jump in the spaces on X and just talk, if you want to jump on the Discord voice chat and talk as well, that's an option. We have multiple options for you. The ability to hop in there and share screens of your own charts, not just looking at ours, but then also leveraging our tools, right? Using our charts to review some of the stocks that you have, doing this technical analysis that we do. You know, in the Discord, we get more into fundamental analysis as well. If you're interested in any of that, more than happy to sit down with you on it. What? Dell window. But yeah, if you have any questions, want to join us, feel free to join. It's wide open here, man. We're looking to make a big community between ourselves, other investors. So if you know anybody, please feel free to share, invite them here to join us. And as always, we appreciate you. It's now running up on 9:15. Thank you for your time. If you could like, share, comment to show your support, your continued support, as we appreciate it every day. Other than that, thank you all for your time this morning on this session of Saturday's Coffee and Stocks. What we'll do is try to send out a watch list on the newsletter. So if you haven't, go to www.mymi.com/subscribe now and just put your email in there, and you can at least start getting some information without registering an account. You can always register an account for free, and you can also always access our premium tools. Other than that, I appreciate you today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat after the live. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, Twitter, X, Facebook, TradingView, StockTwits, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you guys are, Discord. We're trying to deliver information. we're using our platform as the aggregation point for all of that, you're more than welcome to help contribute to the movement. Other than that, if you would, just feel free to share this and have a good weekend. Thank you.